On November 6th, a completely avoidable and tragic accident happened at Travis Scott's Astroworld Festival in Houston, Texas. And before I start, let's just take a moment to remember the victims of that tragedy so far. Hello everyone, how are you? That is good. I am glad to hear it. I am Tom Gray, the internet's most determined serious video cosplayer. I'm sure the majority of you have already heard about the horrific incident that happened at Travis Scott's festival, Astroworld. But just in case you haven't, let me explain what happened. Astroworld is a festival hosted by rapper Travis Scott and the live entertainment company Live Nation in Houston, Texas. Unfortunately, so far 8 people passed away that day during Travis Scott's fest due to what is referred to as a crowd crush. The youngest of these people being a 14-year-old kid. And this isn't the final tally because there are still people in the hospital with serious injuries. I think over 300 people were injured at that show. If you don't know what a crowd crush is, it's essentially when a large group of people are crammed into a small area and the back group of people start pushing forward and the front group of people start pushing backwards to get out, and it causes a pressure in the middle of the crowd. And the pressure that creates is sometimes strong enough to bend steel. So just think about how strong that is against human bodies. I think a lot of people assume that the main cause of death in these situations is being trampled on by a large number of people. But what it really is asphyxiation, meaning that the bodies are so tight together your lungs can't even expand to gasp for air. It is a horrible and terrifying way to die. The Travis Scott incident is not the first time something like this has happened. In 1979, 11 people died at a concert to see the band The Who. And in 2011, during the Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia, 2,400 people died in a crowd crush incident. And you may be wondering what causes these horrible instances to happen. More often than not, it is just poor planning and not adequate enough space for the amount of people that are gathered at that event. At Astroworld, there were about 50,000 people there, and that's not counting the hundreds of people that snuck into the festival as evidenced by this video. Not only did those people sneak in, they also completely disregarded the security measures like metal detectors and just went on their merry way into the show, which is a giant safety risk for everyone involved. I hate metal detectors. They're just a nuisance and annoying to go through, but if they keep one guy with a gun out of whatever situation I'm in, I will gladly go through them. As with any tragedy, people are quick to try and blame someone, a company, an individual. It makes sense. People are just trying to figure out what happened. In this case, a lot of people are blaming Travis Scott, which is understandable. It is his name on the festival. It is run by his team and people that his team hire. Live Nation also deserves quite a bit of blame. If you ask me, they organized the event and they organized it very poorly. There were 50,000 people there and only 2 water stations. Now, a lot of people don't want to see their favorite artist get blamed for something that they think they didn't do. And at first, I didn't want to blame Travis Scott for it either. I have played in many bands. I used to be in the punk and hardcore scene. I know what shows are like. Sometimes it's hectic. You can't see the crowd. There are a lot of lights and noises. It's very distracting. And sometimes you're just focused on performing. And that's what I thought until I saw a video, which I'm not going to play because frankly it is disturbing. So I will just try to explain it. An individual is being crowd surfed to the front of the crowd so he can get the help he needs, and about 30 to 50 feet away, Travis Scott is up on a platform looking in that exact location, singing the dulcet tunes of Yeah in auto-tune, looking in the exact direction of an unconscious body being carried to the front of the crowd. And people will try to defend that and say that he told security about it right before that video was taken, which he did, but he had to stop the show multiple times. And if that many people are passing out and going unconscious during your show, you need to take a big, long look at what is going on in the crowd. Crowd safety at shows is the most important thing. I don't care if you want to get hype, have a bunch of fun, or whatever, but you should 100% care more about the people in the stands than you do about yourself. And there were many instances where Travis stopped the show for maybe 20 to 30 seconds, and then he would go, "Y'all know what you came here to do." And he would also say, "Make the ground shake," and then continued on with his performance for another 40 minutes. And whenever you see people passing out in the crowd, and you give them 20 to 30 seconds, and then go right back to the hype of, "Y'all know what you came here to do," or "Make the ground shake," that gives security not enough time, that gives the crowd not enough time, that gives the medics not enough time. That is inadequate response on his part. So yes, I do put part of the blame on Travis Scott. However, there is a certain aspect of people that instead of blaming just Travis Scott, they are blaming Travis Scott and Satan. Yes, in the year 2021, we have gone back to the 1980s in a satanic panic, blaming this incident on rituals for Satan and sacrifices for the devil. If you don't know what satanic panic is, in the late 1970s and the 1980s, the media went on a crusade against kids and the media they consumed and the music they liked. With all... Excuse me. Sorry, I just got my 3rd dose of the COVID vaccine and my balls are huge. Nicki Minaj was right. That's a joke. But the media would make these insane claims about rituals for Satan and worshiping the devil and making sacrifices, when in actuality, the majority of it was just kids that wanted to listen to Metallica. This satanic panic even led to people being arrested. The biggest example of this would be the West Memphis 3, a case full of police coercion, intimidation, and of course, rituals for Satan. Satanic panic hit its peak in the 1980s and kind of died down a little bit, but it never fully went away. One of the more recent examples is when Lil Nas X released the video for Montero. A large sect of people were freaking the fuck out about it, claiming that Lil Nas X was a Satanist and worshiping the devil all because he clapped his booty cheeks all over Satan. It sounds ridiculous because it is. A lot of what people claim is blatant Satanism is really blatant art. But instead of using critical thinking and understanding what point the artist is making, the easiest route for them to take is that they are evil and sacrificing people's lives for the devil. For fame, fortune, I don't know. If it was that easy to get rich and famous, a lot more people would be doing that. But with this Astroworld tragedy, it is no different. Twitter, TikTok, and I'm sure Facebook. Oh God, Facebook. I'm sure the ants on Facebook were going wild with their conspiracy theories about what actually happened that night. We have a tweet here that says, Travis Scott conducted a satanic ritual in the guise of a concert, sacrificing at least 8 people, and no one seems to care. I know this sounds crazy if you're asleep, but if you've been awakened, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. Almost every celebrity is a Satanist. 543 likes. And a majority of these people just seem to not even understand what Satanism is. I was an edgy little kid in high school. I've read the Satanic Bible. They don't actually worship the devil. It's one Google search away, and you would find that out. Looks like a satanic ritual followed by a mass sacrifice. These are some of the top performers from the Astroworld event. Almost all of them, if not all of them, are Satanists. Travis Scott, Bad Bunny, 21 Savage, and Lil Baby. Those people were a sacrifice. And it's got some pictures here. Ooh, fire. Nothing screams the devil than fire. It's not like almost every major live show in the world has fire involved with it, because fire is fucking cool. Even cavemen loved fire. You think they were Satanists too? Travis Scott is a Satanist. Jesus. Travis Scott is a Satanist. He believes in the one eye. No doubt last night was a sacrifice ritual. See you on the other side? Honestly, he has overrated music, never cared for him. Stay woke in what you associate your energy with for real. You could have just left out that first part and just said, I never liked his music. You didn't have to get stupid. And yes, See You on the Other Side does sound creepy in hindsight, but if you're at the show, it just sounds like a cool name for an album. Stop listening to him. Ugh. Travis Scott is a devil worshiper with pentagrams, Antichrist crosses on him, and hanging out with the Satanist. There's a picture of him with Marilyn Manson, and fuck Marilyn Manson. Not because he's a Satanist, but because he's a... And this Antichrist cross he's talking about is literally the cross of St. Peter, who, if you know the Bible, I do, I went to Catholic school, blah, 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 I'm boring. St. Peter was crucified on the cross, but he chose to do it upside down because he didn't feel like he was worthy of the same treatment as Jesus, which is literally the opposite of an Antichrist cross. And then there was this video posted onto TikTok.
So I'm moving my computer, it's like fixing, yeah, this guy does this, and then basically, on my computer, I just put it in the queue.
And someone took to Twitter to say, Travis Scott used Fear Frequency. Badass name for a band. If someone wants to use that, Fear Frequency sounds like a band I would listen to. Travis Scott used Fear Frequency, which can cause high blood pressure, anxiety, nausea, and dizziness. Wow. Yeah, that's not Fear Frequency. That's a genre of music called gabber, and you could go to any club in the UK and take ecstasy and dance to that all night long. And then I saw this video on TikTok, which I think was just posted to show how quickly things got out of hand during the concert. Which I thought was a scary video as well because they're immediately pushed forward into other people in a crowd of 50,000 people, you know? But then I went to the comments and, religious or not, can't deny this whole festival felt so off. Energy doesn't lie. That's called hindsight, my friend. You weren't there. You probably didn't know it felt so off at the time. Sing with me. Holy Spirit, activate. Holy Spirit, activate. 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 Come on, let's pray. Do you think like God is checking your TikTok comments and being like, oh wait, I gotta protect this person. They sang along to a comment. Look at the symbolism. A dove, a symbol of the human soul, on fire. They knew what they was doing. This is pure evil. That is not a dove. It looks like a phoenix, maybe? I don't know a lot about birds, but I do know that's not what a dove looks like. And I think this is what pisses me off the most about this version of Satanic Panic, is that instead of actually, mourning the loss of life and holding people accountable, real people, for the real things they did, they want to blame Satan, which I just feel is so disrespectful to the lives that were lost there. I feel like the real religious thing to do would just be to pray for them and for their families and hope that they can get through what has to be the worst part of their lives, instead of going onto Twitter, going onto TikTok, and being like, this is the devil. The devil did this. I know he did. The devil works in mysterious ways, except I can tell because I'm so woke and in touch with the devil. No. People are dead. And a lot of people are saying this whole concert was evil, this was an evil thing that happened. It's not evil in a religious sense. This is capitalism. This is evil in a sacrifice the safety of others for profit sense. Still evil, but not in the way you think it is. And honestly, I'm not articulate enough to talk about a lot of this stuff, so I have a friend of mine that's gonna explain it, hopefully a little better than I can, because I am stupid, let me tell you that. So take it away, Mr. Beard.
The whole Satanic Panic thing is very interesting because It's basically conservatives' version of cancel culture. Like, they're always talking about how much they hate cancel culture and that you should be able to say whatever you want and that no one should ever, like, criticize you or cancel you for sharing your opinions. But if someone doesn't even have to say something that is actually satanic. If they say something that's even like seems remotely satanic, like they show a picture of fire or something, like all you have to do if you're someone on the left is show a picture of fire and conservatives will try to cancel you for being satanic, which is just absolutely insane because like I do agree that cancel culture might go too far sometimes, but at least people on the left are canceling people for legitimate reasons like, hey, you're being racist. We're not canceling someone just because they posted a fucking picture of fire and saying, hey, you're being satanic. And by conservatives' definition of cancel culture, shouldn't it be okay for someone to be a Satanist and just have a difference of opinion? Like, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything like inherently wrong with being a Satanist. A lot of Satanists are actually not terrible people. I'm not a Satanist, but I'm definitely not going to assume that every Satanist is like some child sacrificing horrible person, because that's not true at all. Most of them are actually atheists. As far as the Travis Scott thing goes, I think it's a lot easier for conservatives to create this narrative in their head that there's this grand conspiracy going on, that like Hillary Clinton and Travis Scott are sacrificing babies and this is all some massive demonic ritual, than it is to just accept that this is like human nature, especially under capitalism, and that it was just a very complicated and fucked up situation all around. Like, the event organizers shouldn't have allowed the stadium to get so overpacked. The security staff should have been much more diligent to not allow people to get so packed. The people in the crowd shouldn't have been getting as, like, what is the word that Travis uses? They shouldn't have been raging so much, you know?
You either get on this stage and rage or take your motherfucking ass home.
And they shouldn't have been packing up next to each other and allowing it to get like that. And then finally, Travis himself, the second he saw what was happening in the audience, he should have stopped the show. So on every single level, you just have people being selfish, because this whole idea of like American individualism, like we should only care about ourselves and only put ourselves first, and why should we give a fuck about everyone else around us? I think you've especially seen this through the COVID pandemic, this idea of why would I wear a mask if all it's going to do is help other people? Why would I get vaccinated if all it's going to do is help other people? It doesn't help me. I'm young and healthy. Why would I want to get vaccinated? I think you see a lot of that same way of thinking with tragedies like this, where it seems like there's just this huge amount of selfishness at every level. And I really do think that we need to be teaching kids to care about others, and that a society where we put others first is eventually going to be a society that's better for us, because if everyone gets vaccinated, it makes it better for us. If while you're at a concert, everyone is looking out for each other, everyone is making sure that people aren't getting crushed, then you're not going to end up going to a concert and, you know, dying from it. So, in my opinion, this is just a conservative way to, like, deflect from the real issue, which is that people need to be taking responsibility for caring for others. And the Bible literally talks about how, like, the number one rule is to love your neighbor as yourself. So if you were listening to the Bible, you would be focusing on not being selfish and caring for others. But rather than that, these conservatives just want to focus on labeling everything as demonic, even when these artists aren't being demonic at all. So yeah, basically, this is just the conservative version of cancel culture, and it's their way to completely ignore any responsibility of having to care about anyone but themselves.
Thank you, Ryan, for not only being much more articulate than I am, but also for being a very nice fella that is very handsome. Long story short, Blaming the senseless deaths of multiple people on a satanic ritual or the devil or whatever you think is insanely disrespectful to the people that have died and their families. Rest in peace to everyone that passed away at Astroworld. Much love. Be safe out there. Thank you.